What's up, y'all? It's Ty in this video. Today, we're going to be doing a tier list of our best wide receivers in college football 25 Ultimate Team. And I basically have everybody that is an 88 overall or higher pictured here on this list. Now, I will say this, and I'm not trying to here's the deal. If you're running an 87 overall wide receiver at this point, it's fine, guys. It's fine. Some important stats to look for are speed, deep route running, those types of things, and then being able to make people miss in the open field. For example, like with Amari Cooper, at least the 89, one of my favorite things about the card is his ability to make people miss in the open field. So that's, the spin move, juke moves are kind of somewhat important. It just really depends what you are looking at for your specific squad. Now, as we do dive into our first 89 Braylon Edwards here, if you are new to the channel, man, please smash that subscribe button. Really do appreciate all the support as always on the channel. I love each and every one of y'all, and so does God. So let's get into it. Braylon Edwards, 88 speed, 87 acceleration, really good as far as catching the football. Thing is, he's 6'3", but he's still kind of a budget-ish wide receiver. You guys can see up here, price-wise, 40,000 coins for the card. It's not bad, right? It's not bad, but he's just a budget wide receiver at the end of the day. He's a fine wide receiver, not necessarily great. Him compared to Bernard. I mean, I feel like with Bernard, I'm just not high on the card. I never really have been. Although, he's not bad. The big difference between Bernard as well as Edwards is the fact that Edwards is just going to be a little bit taller. With Bernard, he's only 6'1". Edwards is a little bit taller. Other than that, though, the cards do look somewhat similar. I'm going to throw them both at C tier. Do think, as far as budget options, they both are fine on the field. Isaiah Bond. I'll say it like this. If you play this game, and you do not think Isaiah Bond is an S-tier wide receiver, I don't know what to do to help you. I mean, this card isn't only just good, this guy is great. I mean, this is one of your best cards in the entire game. Route running wise, can do it all. Short route running, mid, deep, he does it all. 93 speed, 94 acceleration. Now, if you are looking for a downside to this card, in my opinion, it's his ability after the catch, right? The spin move, juke move isn't necessarily great. 80 juke move, not ideal. Only 5'11" as well. But like I said, the most important thing for a wide receiver is his speed. 93, good acceleration, good catch in the football, and good route runner. It just comes down to the fact that I wish he could make people miss after the catch. If there is one complaint for Isaiah Bond and myself, it is exactly that. He's still S tier, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. 91 Braylon Edwards up next. And here's where things get difficult, because I feel like we've got a lot of wide receivers that are kind of just all combined into one. And I'm not saying like they're good or bad. I just feel like they're all kind of like this same type of level. 91 speed, 89 acceleration, really good route runners. But again, spin move, juke move isn't great. 6'3" tall. He's good. He's good. He's A tier. But I think if you have him above A tier, it just, to me, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I do think the card is A tier, and I think it's valid to put him there. But any higher for Braylon Edwards, I just don't necessarily see it. Luther Burton at this stage, is he C tier? I think he might be. Luther Burton, for his time, was the best probably wide receiver in the game. I mean, he was. For a specific time, the card was just absolutely, ridiculously good. The problem is that time has came, that time has went. Still only has the 88 speed as far as, getting open. He's fine. I just don't love Luther Burton at this stage. He's fine. You can still run him if you have a B&D version, but he's just not great anymore. Amari Cooper up next. I think he's the guy that splits the middle and goes to B tier. But I'd argue Amari Cooper is nearly as good as Braylon Edwards. Some people are going to disagree with me on that. But when I'm looking at Amari Cooper, I'm looking at one of the most complete wide receivers in the entire game. And like I've kind of already mentioned, his ability to make people miss after the catch is one of the main reasons I like this card. That's in my opinion, becoming, I don't even want to say rare, but you guys see it, like even with Ryan Williams, a card I have. That's one of my downfalls with Ryan Williams, is after he catches the ball, he doesn't make people miss. And that's why I do really like Amari Cooper a lot. I'm throwing him at B tier. For his value, one of the best cards in the game. Desmond Howard, I'm throwing him at the same tier as Luther Burton. For a while, it was you either have Desmond Howard or Luther Burton, and that was the facts. But to me, at this stage, Desmond Howard's not as good as, some of the other cards that are on this list. And he's fine still. You can use Desmond Howard and have a lot of success, but he's B tier, or C tier. He's not as good as a guy like Amari Cooper. Deshawn Jackson, S tier. And here's the thing. Like him compared to Isaiah Bond, is Deshawn Jackson better than Bond? No, he is not. Bond is better. Bond's faster. Bond route running is just as good. However, I will say this with Deshawn Jackson. His juke move, his ability after the catch is better than Isaiah Bond's. And so that's the one thing I would hold on to if you do have Deshawn Jackson and want to say he's better than Isaiah Bond. I think you can make that debate. I personally don't believe that's true, but Deshawn Jackson is an S-tier wide receiver on this game. Next up, guys, we do see Herman Moore. Herman Moore, for his time, was an absolute beast. But it's just another one of these situations. And I don't want to say his time has came and went, but that's kind of the truth. Still 6'4", 89 speed, really good spin, really good juke. Gonna make people miss after the catch. Like, I still think you could argue Herman Moore an A tier. I'm personally just gonna go B tier with the card. Jamar Chase up next. One of your best wide receivers in the game. Is he S tier? No. But I absolutely love what Jamar Chase provides for you guys on the field. 91 speed, good acceleration. Thing I see with Jamar Chase is this. His spin move, juke move isn't great. So that's something that is important to think about. Is still an A-tier wide receiver for sure on this game. An absolute stud. Jimmy Horn Jr. When you're talking about budget-ish wide receivers, I really like what Jimmy Horn Jr. provides. I ran the card for a while when I was just building my squad up. 30,000 coins on Xbox, 88 speed, a 90 acceleration. Spin move, juke move is not great, but solid route runner. He is a C-tier wide receiver. He is. He's not Cooper. He's not Herman Moore. He's C-tier, but the card is solid for his price. Next up here, guys, we do see Jonathan Jefferson. And a lot of people want to talk about Jonathan Jefferson to Jamar Chase. Like, that's what people want to talk about, want to argue. And for me, it's tough, right? We'll talk about the budget versions of these cards here in a second. But Jonathan Jefferson is just not as good as Jamar Chase. His acceleration's good. His speed's just a little bit down. His, ability to make people miss in the open field's not great. I just don't know with this Jonathan Jefferson card how high I can truly be. And that's the problem. I do think he's I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put him at B tier. Now, while we're here, let's talk about the free Jonathan Jefferson. To me, the free Jonathan Jefferson is not that much worse than the BND Jonathan, or than the LTD Jonathan Jefferson. I don't think he's that much worse. Free Jonathan Jefferson, if you've got him, if you grinded him out, is a B tier wide receiver. Now, as far as the free Jamar Chase, where does he belong as far as on this list? I think probably B tier is the right spot for the free Jamar Chase as well. I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about here. He's got 89 speed, solid acceleration. I just don't think there's that much of a difference between the free versions and the LTDs. That's kind of my opinion on it. I guess you could throw him at A tier if you wanted to, but I just don't think there's that much of a difference. Jordan Watkins, I'm going to spend a while talking about this card because this card is super cheap, and I get why, right? I genuinely get why Jordan Watkins is cheap. It's because of that, deep route running ability. It's not great. Like, his deep route running is bad, but he's still got 90 speed, still got 89 acceleration. But the problem is, ability in the open field's not great. Not a good spin move, not a great juke move. Those are the problems with Jordan Watkins. To be honest, I think C tier might be the spot for him. And he is cheap, and I get why. The card can't run deep routes. The card can't make people miss in the open field. I get why Jordan Watkins is as cheap as he is. I'm going C tier. Colin Lacy, a card I love. And if you ever want to see anybody talk bad about Colin Lacy, it won't be me. I love this card on the field. I think this card is an absolute beast. 90 speed, 92 acceleration, can make people miss. The only downfall about this card is his ability to carry the football. Like, might fumble more than some other cards, but I still think he does enough for me to put him at that A tier. I'm a big Colin Lacy fan in this game. Magwood, I'm going to throw at B tier. I have a BND Magwood. I run the card, but I'd be lying to say like he's as good as Colin Lacy. Colin Lacy's better than Magwood. I like Magwood. It's just the fact that he can't make people miss in the open field. Horrible spin, horrible juke. That's why Magwood can't be any higher, but I do think he is still B tier. Marvin Harrison Jr., is he S tier? Is he A tier? That's really the question we have to ask, because the card is an absolute stud, an absolute beast. 91 speed, can make people miss in the open field, great catching, 6'4". I just don't think he's as good as Deshawn Jackson or Isaiah Bond. I just don't. And so that's the tough part for me. Is he worth the coins? No. But is he better than the rest of the guys that I do have up there? Absolutely. And so again, that is kind of the tough part. When you are looking at the at A tier, it's like, in my opinion, Marvin is one of the best cards there, but I can't put him any higher than A tier. He's not as good as Bond, not as good as Deshawn Jackson. Nick Nash up next. I do think B tier probably is the right spot for Nash in this game. I feel like at the wide receiver position, you got a lot of these solid budget options. I feel like his spin juke could be a little bit better, and if it was, I might be higher on the card, but he's still fine. Good enough speed, good route runner, 6'3", does a lot for you guys on the field. I think B tier, though, is the right spot for the card, and some people might argue he should be higher. I think B tier is the perfect spot for Nick Nash in this game. Pacer up next. We're going to see some of these budget guys. He's not bad, and that's the one thing I want to talk about with Pacer. He's not bad, but is he good? No. Like 87 speed at this stage of the game just isn't getting it done. He's going to go D tier to me. If let's say you're really balling on a budget and you've got Pacer, he can play. He can play. I'm not going to hate on him, but he's not great. 90 overall Reggie Wayne is perfect, guys. Like, I really like Reggie Wayne in this game. And when we look at the card, you guys are going to see exactly why. Like, Reggie Wayne does a lot of things at a just really high level. He does. From his speed to his catching to his ability to make people miss in the open field. He just does a lot on the field. Good catching, good route runner. Only real downside is the fact that he's only 6 feet tall. Like, if you have a downside, I think that's what it's got to be for the card. I do think the pros outweigh the cons with Reggie Wayne as far as his ability to make people miss, decent speed, decent acceleration. You could probably even put Reggie Wayne at A tier, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Like, I do think, but it's tough because Nick Nash isn't. I'm going to move Nick Nash to A tier. I think he deserves it. And because of that, I'm going to move Marvin Harrison Jr. up. I think that I like this more than anything else that I had going here. It's just really tough to rank these guys compared to some of the other guys on this list, just for the sole fact, like, we've got a lot of good wide receivers. You just got to kind of, put them where you think they belong. Now, I don't even know on this list, do I have any F tier players? Because right now, I don't believe I do. Like, when I'm looking at this list, I don't believe I have any F tier players right now. So that's kind of interesting. I might have to move Pacer down. Might have to move some of these other guys down just a tier or two, just because it's like, some of these guys I just don't think give you a lot on the field. So I guess that's what I'm going to have to do, although I really don't like it. Ricky White III up next. This card is going to be really cheap come tomorrow because we will see another Heisman hopefuls drop. This card is a stud. 90 speed, 90 acceleration, good juke move. This card is going to do a lot of things on the field for you. Again, as far as receiving, does a ton as well. This card just is a stud. Can run routes, can make people miss in the open field, 90 speed, got to be A tier. Rondale Moore. Here's where things get tough. Is Rondale Moore S tier? I think because of his speed, he has to be. He has 93 speed on the field. I think you got to put him at S tier. If you don't, I just want to know why. Like, 93 speed makes people miss in the open field. I get it, guys. I do get it. He's 5'7". Like, if that's your reason for not liking the card, I genuinely get it. 5'7" is kind of crazy on the field. But everything else that this card does is crazy. Good speed, great acceleration, makes people miss. To me, he's got to be S tier. Ryan Williams up next, A tier. Ryan Williams is not perfect, though. I've got this card. When I got him, I was excited because for his time, for the stage I got him at, he was just an absolute stud for that stage. The problem is, I feel like the time has came and went for Ryan Williams. He can't make people miss in the open field. His spin juke move isn't great. Yes, his speed and deep route running is great, but other people can do that at this stage. For me, I like Ryan Williams. It just comes down to, I feel like at this stage, he's not what he once was. And I think that's fair, a fair assessment of Ryan Williams. The card's fine, but he is not what he once was in this game. Savon Williams up next. I think I've got to go C tier. And I'm not hating on Savon Williams, but I think that's where I ultimately got to go with the card. For his time, was solid. Honestly, when this card first came out, he was horrible, and then they updated him, and now he's fine. But it's just like, doesn't make people miss in the open field. Decent speed, decent acceleration, 6'5". He's just another one of those C tier Desmond Howard, Luther Burton type cards. Tavon Austin up next. I never use this card. And it's kind of sad that I never got the chance to use Tavon Austin because 90 speed, 90 acceleration, great spin, great juke. This card looks fantastic still to this day. He does. Only 5'9", though, so I got to go B tier. But Tavon Austin, if you still got him, can absolutely play. Tet at this stage, same tier as Herman Moore. Tet, Herman Moore, whoever you like more is fine. Both of those cards are deserving of being at B tier. Both those cards are extremely good in this game. Next up, Xavier Townsend. He's a budget wide receiver, but he is D tier. If you have Xavier Townsend, the card can play the card. You can run the card, have some success with him. Ultimately, he's a budget option, D tier. Trey Harris up next. I think I got to go B tier with Trey Harris. This is a card that can play. at an extremely high level in this game. The problem that I see with Trey Harris is the fact that, look, when you're comparing, you know, a lot of these cards, it comes down to, okay, can he make people miss in the open field? Kind of, not really, but he's got great speed, 6'2", good receiving, definitely is deserving of being at B tier, in my opinion. Can't go higher with the card. Xavier Restrepo. I about forgot to include this card. I about left him off this list. Once again, just because it's hard. Free cards that you have to upgrade. It's hard for me to remember them. This card is S tier. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Great route runner. Can make people miss in the open field. 93 speed, 93 acceleration. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Xavier Restrepo is an S tier wide receiver. That's going to wrap it up for our wide receiver tier list. Let me know your thoughts on it down below in the comments. Am I money on it? Is it perfect? Or did I miss out on some people that I should have had higher? Let that be known down below in the comments, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Drop a like on it, guys. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.